What is going on, everybody? Scott Hogan here. We're in the studio. Tonight we're going to talk about the takeaway, letting you all work on building a golf swing. We're past the holidays. We're going to get this swing built, and then we're off and rolling. So let's get to it. What's going on, everybody? Scott Hogan coming at you. We're here. We're in the studio. Hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We are working on everything with our golf swings now, getting everything going, getting ready for the holidays as well. So as we do all of that, one of the things that wanted to make you aware of is we've got all the links for everything. All the Cyber Monday stuff ends. Most of it's ending tonight. So if you want any of the things we talk about, make sure you check all that out down below. And also, we also have some lesson gifts and stuff that if you're interested in, you can check out. Make sure you head over to the links in the description, scotthogangolf.com, and those are going to be there. So tonight we're going to start talking about building a golf swing and what that kind of entails. And so if we're going to build a golf swing, if your goal is to build a swing that is, repeatable and one that's going to hold up over the longest period of time, then what we need to look at is how do we start basically from the beginning. So tonight we're going to talk about one of the most important parts of the swing, because if you can do this, you are going to get kind of the most bang for the buck, in the sense that if you kind of get the swing started, a lot of things start to work their way into some good mechanics, because you got the start going. A lot of things that happen later on the swing, if you start off poor, that's really what's going to happen. So we want to go through, what I want to do is talk a little bit tonight first about, let's talk about the swing and what we're trying to do with the takeaway. So first off, the first thing we're looking at is the goals of our takeaway. So when I think of the golf swing, we talked a little bit about this last week, which was, the golf swing is a bunch of circles going on. Well, if we have a takeaway, we got to get the circle started off on the right direction. Okay, we got to get started right. So what does that mean? Okay, well, we kind of got three circles that I like to look at. We got the club head, we've got our hands, okay? Could look at the grip too, but basically where our hands are joining. And then we've got our body. We'll simplify it a little bit, but we'll just call it our body as we go. So these three circles need to get started correctly, okay? So what we're going to do is, let's take a look. If I set up, and we're assuming you've got a grip already, that's something I would address first. I'm not such a big posture alignment person, because a lot of that's going to come once you build your swing. You got to adjust those things based on what's going on in the swing. Posture a little bit, but again, we're kind of assuming you have some of that stuff down as we go. But if I set up, we have to look at it. My hands are, kind of the second part of the system, right? The club head is the farthest out. My hands are next, and then my body's on the inside, right? From ball working towards my body. So when I start my takeaway, I need to keep that relationship. One of the biggest things that people do is when they go, they think about getting their swing, and they think about getting the swing more inside. And what they do is they get this club head to go inside. But you've changed the relationship. Now you've got your hands on the outside, club head is now inside. In some cases, it gets way inside. It's inside your body. And now you've ruined kind of the relationship, everything. You're going to have to do something to get that club back out to the ball, the club head. And namely, what usually happens is that move, okay? So when we're taking it away, one of the key things that I want to see is we have to keep the circle going. So the first thing I want to see is, when I see people working on their swing, is we got to get the body going, okay? You got to get the body going, because that part has to move. If that doesn't move, the circles are going to get off. One of the circles isn't working. Now, to demonstrate that, what I wanted to do is bring up a little bit of our 3D with Sportsbox here. So we're going to take a look at a swing here. Okay, we're taking a look at a swing. And what we have here is, let's take a look at a couple of metrics as we go. So we like to look at 3D when we're looking at a golf swing. And what we have here is, if we have a dress at the starting position, you have what's called turn. You also have what's called side bend, your body bending sideways. Okay? What happens when we get that club starting is we need to get turn in our swing. Okay? Now, this particular student has a pretty good takeaway. Okay? What I see in their takeaway is when they get the club back, okay, when the club gets back, and what makes it a good takeaway is when that club gets to parallel to the ground. Okay? So you've completed what? A quarter of your swing, a third of your swing on the way back. They've completed about half of their turn. Okay, so they're getting a lot of early turn in their swing. So, you know, a lot of people out there that struggle with overswing, stuff like that, a lot of it comes from you're not turning enough early, so then you turn late when the club's already way back and you're trying to figure out a way to get some power. We want to get that turn early in that swing. So you can see here, we have 38 degrees of turn with the chest. The pelvis is about 18. If we take that up to the top, you can see that's about half of their turn that they make in their entire swing. And this person can hit the ball pretty well. Not the most powerful. We could get a little more turn. Also not the most flexible. But we could get more turn overall. But it's a good ratio of how much they are turning in their swing. So what that means is, as we're going through, if we're going to hit a shot, and we're looking at this, I want to see people starting that takeaway by thinking, all right, I got to get a lot of turn, okay? For a lot of people, that is a lot more motion than they are used to. They are used to, all right, I got to try to nail it. They're trying to be perfect, and it's like, well, no, you got to move. The key is you got to get motion going, but you need the motion to happen the right way. So we want that turn to go. And if I do that, okay, flip it to your down the line. If we do that, notice how when I get back, as I'm starting back, see how the club head is still outside of my hands, okay? My hands are outside of my body, and then my body is turning, okay? Now at this point, what I like to see is the club head covering the hands right there, okay? Something like that would be ideal. And then we would continue on, okay? That's going to be what gets you there as you go. So again, what starts that is getting that body to turn and getting more turn than what you would normally see. What I typically see again is more lift, okay? People lift and then try to turn it, okay? Going to cause you some issues as you're going through. Now, when you also do that correctly, what ends up happening is your hands are going to work more around you. They're going to go along for the ride with the body, okay? So what I see is, I see those hands feel like they're going to get closer to my trail leg. So for me as a right-handed player, my right leg, okay? So we see that as we go, okay? Again, club head, covering the hands. You'll see some players with it out. See some players like mildly in, something like that. But you're never going to really see good players something like this, okay? If you get it like this, not only are you in a bad spot, you got the club face open as well. So we want to get that club started, body, hands working around us. So it's just something like that, right? So we can do this a couple of ways, right? So what are some ways? Hey, Scott, I need to get a feeling for getting everything to move. Okay, well, here's one of my favorite drills to work on this. What we're looking at is you're going to take the golf club. You're going to just put the grip end in your belly button. and then I grip down whatever comfortable, whatever kind of feels like it would be normal. So something like that. Club's obviously not going to get to the ground. So all we're going to do is make some takeaways, keeping the butt end of the club in my belly button. Okay? So if we take a look at it from this angle, we're going to get something like that. Okay? And then we can continue on. You're obviously not going to be able to hit golf balls doing this. So I tend to like drills that are going to hit with golf balls. So this is where I'm a huge fan of Gravity Fit. Okay? So Gravity Fit, you've heard me talk about this on the channel. These are just some bands that we do, and we can do some exercises and stuff. Okay? What I like to do first with people is we'll put the bands on, is we just do some drills. And the goal is keep the bands extended, don't let them pull in. And what you'll feel is everything work together. Okay? Everything work together as we go. And then what we can do, and why I like this aid, is we can actually hit some golf balls with it to see what's going on. And it always feels weird for people at first. So we're just going to bring it back and through. Hit our shots. We like that one. We'll let everybody kind of see that one there. You can see the club path up in the top right. 2.1 right. We like that shot. I'll hit one more for you. Face was in a very good spot too. I mean, just a lot of good numbers as we go through. Okay? So again, just a little takeaway, everything together, working through, and there we go. The goal of this is to get where we're making some sort of, solid contact as we go through this. So that's our Gravity Fit, which is a good option as well. There's a link for it down below that you can check that out. I have several of them, and all of my students use it. They get better with it, so I use it all the time. So we do that. Now the other thing that we will do, okay, the other thing that we will do is we talk a lot about in the takeaway, not only getting our body moved, getting everything to work in the circles, but what we also work on is, can we get the pitch of the golf club correct, okay? So what happens a lot is when people go back, they're thinking, all right, I got to be on plane. So, that plane is that line that we see drawn on people's swings, right? And what they think about is, all right, I've got to match that plane up. And so what happens is in the takeaway, the pitch of the club starts to kind of flop over, and that's where you get this inside takeaway. Okay? Now the problem with that is when you get up to the top, the club wants to rebalance itself, so it wants to go over, and it wants to do it like right away, so then you get that over the top motion. Okay? What really happens in a good one, and you'll hit it farther doing this, by the way, is when we are hitting shots, what we're looking at is the pitch of the club stays more out. So I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit, but think like Matt Wolff, right? That guy's like out here. He gets up and then it changes, and then you get down and go. That's what I like to see in a takeaway. That's part of how we keep the club head outside of our hands and keep it in the proper order in the circles around us. It doesn't get sucked inside. So what I like to have people do is make back swings where this club gets vertical. Okay, so you go back, club is outside the hands, and get it vertical here. Then when you transition, it's going to want to lay down as you go. Okay, not a guarantee, but you got a much better chance, and that's what we want in the takeaway as we go. We want to be set up for success and have a chance. So what I'll have people do, swinging, stand it up, the butt end of the club, I know it doesn't look like it. To me, it feels like it's pointing at my feet. If you look at it on the camera, it doesn't exactly look like that. That's probably pointing actually like right here, okay? Somewhere in between your feet and the ball is where it's actually pointing, but what it feels like is a lot more vertical as you go. So we'll make some takeaways. Back, feel that club getting vertical. And then we work on that transition as we go, okay? The idea behind it is I want people to be able to make solid contact first. If you hit it straight, you hit it where you want to go, who knows, right? That's going to be something that you do later, okay? You will do that later with some other training, but if you do that, what you will see is you will keep the center contact ability much higher, right? Because that club is staying out in the order. It's going to have an easier time getting back out to where it needs to be in the order of circles. Again, club head's the farthest out, your hands are inside of that, body's inside of that. We don't want to be changing that circle, just like when we early extend, stuff like that. That's usually when the circles are getting off. So, as we do this, good turn on the way back, good turn. Feel that club staying outside your hands and then working back out to the ball. I love to work on what feels like, to be honest, those feel like, you know, half swings. But as you can see, we get some pretty good distance and numbers at my target out there at 174 yards. Works out pretty good. So that's something you're going to want to look at. You'll have some checkpoints to work on with your swing. That's one of my goals as we start trying to build a golf swing, is have our checkpoints that will make you a better player. So if you have questions about it, please comment down below. Also, make sure if you have, you know, any future topics that you want to leave, comment those as well, and follow us on Instagram and everything. We got all the sales and everything going on. Get working on your swing now. You can get some lessons with us. We have those over on the site, but you can work on that swing now, get some changes, and don't be afraid to push that swing where you think it might, you know, you might not want to go. You might think, oh, that's way too far, whatever. Use some video. I use the cameras. You see, I use the cameras in here during this. I use my live view all the time. Get some feedback of hitting these checkpoints and saying, all right, hey, I don't want to ruin the circles of what is going on. Okay, so if you have any questions, again, comment, click that subscribe button. If you are not a subscriber already, we will have our Sunday round, and we will also have next week's show. Let us know if you have anything you're looking to. We're going to keep building a swing, but also make sure you send in your swings. We will take a look at them on the show, give you a little breakdown of what I see. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Alive, let's hit the dance floor. Don't work too hard, might break a backbone. Return of the Mac, the king is back though. Corvette and cash, I never lack those. She saw the stone, you know how that go. Fatality, my diamonds that cold. Versace